This is the Silvertips Time Machine Podcast. Here's your host, Keith Gerhart.
It's over! Look at that! Hockey game over!
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Everett Silvertips Time Machine Podcast. My name is Keith Gerhart, Everett Silvertips broadcaster from 2003 to 2007. And again, fans, thank you for all your great comments doing this podcast and this journey and this fun little hobby I'm having here in the last couple, almost a month and a half. We'll look forward to continue to do more. Fans, keep up with any suggestions. If there's a player you're thinking of, maybe from those first four seasons, we'll do our best to hopefully get them on. We'll have some other guests here down the road. I know Everett Silvertips training camp is right around the corner in Everett, Washington. I know the current front office and the coaching staff looking forward to a great 2025-2026 campaign. But we're going to stay here with the podcast here as we go back in the time machine for the years 2003 to 2006. And with this player, I would say one of the more unsung heroes from that 2003-2004 season. Also played in 04-05, played in that kind of the new shift of the Everett Silvertips with some of the young guns that came up in 2005 and 2006. In the pride of Regina, Saskatchewan, number 16, Mark Kress. Mark Kress joins me. Mark, great to see you. You look great. Thanks for coming on to another edition here at episode 6 of the Everett Silvertips Time Machine Podcast.
It's so fun to catch up through with you and the players you had on the podcast already. I've listened to every one with my son, who loves it, I think, more than I do. And it's like, I literally can, like, when I'm driving in the vehicle, I can picture their face and their mannerisms and everything when it was Armstrong on and Harper and Cody and Harv, like all those guys I played with over my 3 years. And it's been special for us to tune into it. So thanks for having me.
No problem. It's great and good to have followers. I know I believe your dad posted on the Silvertips YouTube as well. He was a big fan of the show, so it's great to have the Kress family on board. And I know, talking to your parents, back in the day when I was with Everett, always great first class people, and the Kress family always was great to talk to and catch up with in our time in Everett. Let's get to, I guess. Let's go way back. Let's go back to the 2002-03 season. You were with the Prince Albert Raiders. You actually had a chance to play with your brother, which was kind of cool. Before Everett, what was the Mark Kress like before the Everett Silvertips stint?
What you saw on Everett was pretty much Mark Kress's whole career. I was just a hardworking kid that whatever I needed to do to make the team, I would do it. And my brother's the same way. So that year before Everett, we both played together. He was a 20-year-old and I was 17, and I was just listed with PA. I didn't get drafted or anything. And so I was really lucky to crack that squad because we had a super good squad. We actually were I think we were rated like number 2 in the CHL in the first 11 games. We went like 10-0-1, and then we didn't make playoffs that season. It was like a crazy turn of events. But it was really fun to play with my brother. And then my brother, he got traded to Moose Jaw about halfway through the season. And then I finished off with the Raiders. But yeah, I didn't really know what my spot would be once I went back there. But I didn't think I was going to Everett. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it sounded like when the expansion draft came, when the Everett Silvertips selected you, I guess you could say, safe to say, a little bit of a surprise
I didn't know
for
this
you.
was a thing. Like, I was in PA. I remember the day that I was walking out. So I was in grade 12. I was walking out the door. We have this like stag. So when you graduate grade 12 in Saskatchewan, all the guys go on a stag. So you kind of skip school and have a fun night. And the girls do the same thing. And so I'm walking out the door. My buddies are waiting for me in the truck. And my dad, he runs. He's like, Mark, come back. Doug Sotart's on the line. And I'm like, okay, who's Doug Sotart? Pick up the phone. This is Everett Silvertips. We picked you up in the expansion draft. I was like, oh, right on. He's like, yeah, you're coming to Everett, Washington. And so I jump in the truck with my buddies. And first thing I say to my boys, like, I got picked up in this new team. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get to see the White House. Not realizing Everett, Washington and Washington, D.C. are very far apart. So
that's great. Well, the next thing you know, you went to near Seattle, the western part. Yes, the Everett, Seattle area. Oh, yeah, that's good. Did you ever get the chance to get to DC?
But I probably should. Everybody's still giving me a hard time that I said that.
That is pretty good. That's awesome. Well, I know, and then talking to your teammates from that season, I yeah, you met the new coaching staff. I know over the summer before training camp kind of hit, all you guys kind of got together to just to get together, and do some workouts here and there. Nothing hockey wise, just to get to know each other. Talk about, getting to know your new teammates. I mean, did you know anybody um, going to Everett that were from the other teams?
No, not really. I had one connection with Jeff Schmidt. Like Schmitty, he played in PA with my brother, and then he got traded the year I got there. So that right after training camp, he got traded to I want to say Kamloops. And so he went. So I kind of knew him through my brother. I didn't really know him personally, but it was an easy connection. He's from Kindersley, Saskatchewan, so come from the same home province. Cody throwing a little bit for maybe growing up. He was a year younger than me, so I would have played against him maybe every other season. But that was about it. But it was like an eye-opening thing. We kind of just went there. And yeah, I remember summertime, maybe in July, we all kind of went down to Everett and got to see the rink and kind of expose us to what we're in for. And it was an amazing experience. Like that rink was just like out of this world. I was coming from PA. Like our rink was this old, we called it the Smarty Box, a small little rink, all the chairs in different colors. And I remember they took us down to like a Mariners game, and I fell in love with baseball, and I fell in love with the whole area of Everett.
Yeah, and then then off the training camp, if you recall, I mean, we were talking to Jeff Harvey and when he was a guest, we didn't do training camp in Everett, and in fact, I don't think we started that until I believe probably the second season, maybe in the 04-05, maybe 05-06. But we ended up going to Alberta, of all places. I mean, we went pretty far to go to training camp in Strathmore, Alberta. Talk about just that training camp was like, did it seem like I don't know, I guess a new release for you as far as hockey, just kind of like a new vibe, just a new chapter for you, hockey-wise?
I think so. Like, I already had a year under my belt, so I kind of knew what to expect. Like, it's definitely a big jump coming from AAA. I was playing Pac Canadians AAA before I went to the PA Raiders, but I think it was nice to start my own path because I was kind of living in my brother's shadow, and my brother had a big shadow. He was quite the player. Like, I think he had 20 goals, 20 assists, and 20 fights in a season. Like, he could do it all. He was great. We were very similar cut, but he was kind of the heavyweight, and I wasn't quite. I'm more of a middleweight. So he made a name for himself. And so it was kind of fun for me to make my own name for myself in a new team with new fans. And, yeah, it was an eye-opening thing because I didn't know what to expect at that time either. All I had was one training camp under my belt in PA, but yeah, it was a cool experience. I don't remember a ton, but enough that I remember being like, okay, I think I have a place I can find myself here.
Yeah. And then I know with the coaching staff with Kevin Constantine and then assistant coaches Jay Verity and John Buchanan, you're kind of like, I guess hockey-wise, like with a lot of the players. I mean, some guys were like on the third and fourth lines, getting all of a sudden moved up to lines 1 and 2. I think you were kind of like a little stay between third and fourth line here and there, depending on injury. Maybe getting moved up here to play a lot of penalty kill here and there. So tell me about that, your role. What was told about your role from that first season, 2003-04?
At that time, I basically went into Everett with like a high school diploma in hockey. And it came out of Everett probably that first year, and for sure my first 3 years with like a PhD in like hockey strategy fundamentals. And it actually, Constantine's like bold framework played really well to my style of play because I was super defensive. Like that was kind of my role, is that I wasn't going to put up a lot of points, but I could hopefully stop good players from putting up points. And that's what kind of Constantine used us as. Like my line was the third line. But we played a ton of minutes because we were playing against the Dubinskis and Nigel Dawes and Getzlaffs. And so it was like, I think that first year, me, Weedy, and Bilston were put together. And basically was just like, your whole objective is to be zeros on the board. I don't care if you get points, but don't be a negative number in the plus minus for goals against. And so we just were shutdown guys. That was our whole thing, is kind of like get under their skin and do our best to make sure they don't get like quality scoring chances.
Yeah. And then and as far as yourself personally, when did you think we got something going on here in Everett? Because I know with expansion teams and everyone, I remember people telling me, Well, enjoy broadcasting, and you'll be done in March or late February, whatever. You don't see much hockey in April. Then things change pretty quick. But in your mind, when did things start thinking, man, we got something going on here that might go pretty, just kind of off to a really good ending
what?
here?
It was probably pretty late in the season. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. Like, I really was just playing each game, like focusing on each game, and like we were slowly getting wins. 1 goal, right? Maybe 2 goals we win by only, like small scoring games, 0-0 games, going right to overtime or something like that. And I don't think until we were really competing for the US division like banner that I'm like, oh my gosh, like we actually we might win this. Like we're a good team. Like, and we're kind of putting the pieces together where we all had our positions. We all knew what we were supposed to do out there. And so we didn't have to do a ton more. We just played our roles and focused on what Constantine Mechanic and Jay kind of had set out for us. And then you never knew what could happen, right? And that was the thing, is like we weren't expected to do anything. So we kind of have a chip on our shoulders, being like, you know what, let's just go work hard and we'll see where the chips fall.
Yeah. And I know with that team, obviously you need good goaltending, and you forget about Michael Wall, but Jeff Harvey and Michael Wall was just a steady force for you guys the whole entire year. It didn't matter which one we came in. Obviously, Harvey at that time was number one, and it just kind of got it into the playoffs, and Wall, ended up having some good stints in the playoffs as well. How important was to have that goaltending, just in case you would make a small mistake where they had a good quality A scoring chance on them, to have 2 goalies and Jeff Harvey and Michael Wall to kind of help you guys out.
So vital. Like obviously, any team that goes to the finals at any kind of level of hockey, you need to have that goaltender in there. And the fact that we had 2, we kind of leaving the edge in so many different things. But nowadays, you see a lot of NHL teams that have like 2 goalies that kind of flip flop. And I kind of feel like Harvey was their starter, but Wall played a ton of games, and he came in some huge moments in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think we ever worried about our goaltending situation. You know how some is worried depending on goalies back there. No, I think it was one of those things that we knew they were fighting for the puck just as hard as we were fighting to keep it out of our end. And so, yeah, I think that was like a huge pivotal part in leading us as far as we got that first season.
Yeah. And I noticed, and too, I know Jeff Harvey brought it up, the 1-goal game became like just a normal, hey, we're ready to go. It's a fun thing to do. It's like it's what we're supposed to be in, and winning those 1-goal games, because I have to look back at it. I had to have. I mean, we're like really good in those 1-goal game situations, and just talk about that situation alone, the 1-goal game, just kind of evolving, playing in those type situations throughout the year. It almost became old hat after a while.
If we could get a 1-goal, we had like certain strategies we went into, almost like a modified trap. And the centerman actually turned into a defenseman. We called it the Big D. It was like another play on words. And so basically we would have this, basically the defenseman could pinch at certain times, but the centerman would always be a defenseman. So fall back. So we never get caught back. So we'd go into this unique kind of like offensive tactic, defensive tactic, where only the wingers would put pressure on, and we just fall back in like almost a line of like 3 defensemen as a centerman. So it would be so tough to play against. Like teams would get so frustrated, and we were so good at just like not trying to push that, like being like, hey, we're winning this game. We don't need to have another goal. And so, yeah, that was kind of our bread and butter, which was like, could be frustrating. As like the other team, and to like for like other fans to watch, because you basically just went into this like really slow motion game where there was no space, but like we thrived in it.
Yeah, I have to ask too, I guess from your opponents, from the players that maybe you chat with that are on the ice during the game or during face-offs or between. If you had to get someone that must have said something like, I hate playing against you guys.
Oh, for
once
sure.
in a while,
yeah,
correct?
And you'd see it sometimes, like you'd post it up in the dressing room if the other teams, like their top players, did something, how they hated playing us or something like that. And like our style of play. Like I remember this one, Dubinsky, we were playing Portland, maybe the second year, and we were pinned up my line against Dubinsky's line. And I remember he wrote in the paper, like the Kress's line is nothing but a bunch of agitators. And I remember we got so jacked. They were like, oh, yeah, like we're under their skin. We got them where we want them.
That's great. And then just playing at home in the Everett Event Center. I know at the time before you got to the home opener, basically before that was basically concrete building, when you were there in the summer. And then you see it with full people from the home opener, and then pretty much almost every other night. It seemed like it was 7,000-8,000. Talk about how much was a home ice advantage for you guys, especially that first season, because you need a little push here and there from that crowd, and boy, they sure gave it to you during that regular season.
Yeah, like as much as we came out to play every game with what we had, like the fans came out harder. Like that crowd every night. Like I said, I was coming from PA, and so we're a smaller northern Saskatchewan community, hockey town, maybe 35,000 people total, and we maybe averaged 1,600 fans. So we were averaging like 6,500, and our max sellout was at 8,000-9,000. That crowd would rock. And I remember like certain games, like if we played the Thunderbirds, I remember sometimes there was more scraps in the stands than on the ice some nights. Like it was so lively. And to think like when players, like you notice all that as much as you're in your game, you do notice that outside stuff and you thrive. Like when you're getting cheered on and you're down, like that picks you up. Yeah. Like I don't think there's another WHL team like it. And maybe I'm biased, but I do, I have seen quite a bit of hockey throughout my life, and it's a special crowd there, and it's a special community that brings it all together.
Yeah. And I know winning that U.S. division the first season, and I didn't really asked this from your teammates on this one. When you guys clinched it, what was the mood like in the dressing room? Like, did people? I know there's a lot of work to be done yet, but I mean, I would hope so. I would hopefully Kevin mentioned it or somebody mentioned in the dressing room, hey, we just won this U.S. division.
100%. Like it was one of those moments. It was Tri-Cities. We were away. And the reason why I think I remembered so vividly, it was the only game I've ever scored in my WHL career. 2 goals in 1 game. And if I remember right, it was against Carey Price. Like maybe one of the greatest goaltenders of our generation. And so I used that. I used to use it because Carey Price is now long past, but I used to tell people like I scored 2 goals against Carey Price one time. And then, right, I did lots of goals. Like, I think I only had 4 goals that whole season. But yeah, I remember that game, and it was like elation in the dressing room. Like we did it. Like we're hanging a banner up as a team. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was one of those things you didn't know it was coming, and then all of a sudden it was at our doorstep, and we're like, holy smokes! Like if we just keep winning a few more games, like this could be ours.
Yeah. And before the playoffs, and I totally forgot about this, but I think there is you have to really search for it on YouTube. And it's like probably someone did it with an old VHS camera in 2003 before the Spokane series in the first round. Remember that parade that we had throughout the streets at Everett?
Literally.
Okay.
But that would be amazing. I would have loved that. Hey, that's Everett. Like we got a banner. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I remember having the parade. I think everyone was there. And I don't know if you were, well, let me ask you, were you in high school then that first year? Did you finish up high school there? Okay. Yeah. All right. So you were already done. So yeah, I remember that parade, and fans, it's there, and you have to really search for it. It's probably deep in the YouTube archives. But if you keep on scrolling, there is clips from that 2003 parade down the streets of Everett, Washington, before the playoffs even started, which I love, which is now like it's kind of taboo nowadays. But what we did, it was just trying to get the crowd pumped for the playoffs.
It's
really.
like MLB.
Really
it's like we're just pumped. We made the playoffs, let alone won the U.S. division. Like, compared to like our predecessors, like the Giants and I don't know who else. Like, it was some hard knocks years with franchises that just started out. So like, I think that's cool. I want to say I can't remember it, but I'm gonna look for the video.
Oh yeah, it's somewhere. You gotta go deep in it in their archives there on YouTube. Just I don't know where you would search through, but put in something like that. But playoffs wise, and I think Jeff Harvey mentioned in his episode, boy, game 1 against Spokane. Believe Delage or Dahl tied it with like a minute left or a minute 30 left or so, and then Barry Horman wins it in overtime in game 1. That set the tone for that whole series. It ended up being a 4-game sweep, which was just amazing in itself. But in your mind, do you think game 1 against Spokane kind of helped you get through most of that playoff run?
For sure. Like, and I think like a lot of, I remember Dahl and Mark Delage, they had a great series against Spokane. And so I think the fact that we won that first game, we were just like, okay, like we deserve to be here. Because I think a lot of doubt sets in. You're like, okay, even making it to the playoffs, then performing well in the playoffs. And so that kind of got the ball rolling. It's like, hey, we deserve to be here. We can play with these guys. And we just only gain momentum from there.
Yeah. Well, this is always an interesting stat. I mean, before we hit record, you definitely mentioned this. For the Everett Silvertips in 03-04 in the regular season, you played 64 games. You had 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. In the playoffs, you played 21 games, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. And I think most of those goals were on the road. I would say a majority of your goals during the season. I mean, those 3 years were on the road. I had to go look back in the archives. Yeah, I know you had some home goals, but boy, the playoffs, it was something about you in those playoffs, especially that first season. Like, and we're gonna go into this with your line that just what helped you become like a guy that made big plays, scored big goals in postseason time.
Well,
In that
I'd
first
probably
season.
say most of those goals went off like my butt or my skate or something. It was like me driving in there. So they weren't pretty goals. But I think playoffs like caters to more maybe the gritty players, right? Just because like they're usually playoffs, they're not very pretty goals.
Mhm.
Like in the regular season, you can get some real nice plays. Well, if you're just driving the net, and that's primarily what we played. If we get it in the end zone, if we get it in like the offensive zone, like we just throw it at the net. And a good shot was even a bad shot was a good shot. And so it would then all of a sudden just be at your skates and you just tap it in. So I don't know what happened that first year in playoffs, but I'm like grateful it happened and I could actually contribute to the team with some point wise, but it was just a byproduct of really,
Mhm.
I guess, again, I guess I could say we were playing
Yeah.
against the top guys. So let's say Dubinsky's and Nigel Dawes and Getzlaff, but they're usually not the best defensively, especially when they're young. So I think they would kind of let their guard down and maybe not back check. So then we would have these opportunities as this kind of like defensive line that not every line would get.
Yeah. And then I know talking about the Spokane series, but I know you had a goal or two in that series. But boy, your line in that Giant series, especially Game 5, I believe you guys had both had all three of you guys. Your centering line with Curtis Bilston and Torrey Wheat. So that line of Wheat, Kress, and Bilston. Game 5 against Vancouver, I remember just watching the DVDs. I have those, and Game 5, I think we ended up winning 6-3. You must have factored in maybe four of the 6 goals in that series in that game. Talk about the chemistry you had with Curtis Bilson and Torrey Wheat, and especially in that second round. But it seemed like it was like really escalating up as the season.
Yeah,
went
I don't know.
on.
It just kind of came out of nowhere in playoffs. Like I played a lot with Wheat. Like me and Wheaty played most of our 3 years on and off together. We always played PK together. So I knew Wheaty inside and out, kind of what his style of play. And Bilston, I think he was a first year, right? So he was in grade 12 that year. I just remember, I don't know, Constantine put us all together and it just worked out good. And like we really just dumped and kind of chased and hit hard. And we played similar to Giant style hockey because they were a pretty big and tough team. And so we kind of like gave it back to them. And at that same time, we kind of got some of those opportunities. That one game, I really, some of the goals that we scored that game, I think we just blacked out. Cause like, I've never scored a top corner goal in my life. And I think I did on that game. I think Bilston like dropped him between his legs. We did it behind the back pass, like things we never do. So I just chalked that one up. Like that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. That never happened again.
It was like Ovechkin, McDavid, and Crosby on the same line.
That game,
That series for you
and
guys.
that it all worked out.
That's great. And then Kelowna came along. All right, we get through that. We get the overtimes. Win Game 5, Nathy from center. John Dahl finds a way to get one in again. You know, the leading scorer of the Silvertips that year finds a way to get it obfuscated in. And then Game 7 happened. And I was like asking this question to the guys that were on the ice. When that goal went in, when Horman sent out front and hit off a leg or a knee or whatever of Jeff Schmidt and in behind Kelly Gard, once the goal went in to in the dressing room, what went on in your mind?
Well, I literally remember jumping over the boards and not knowing if I should throw not knowing, do I throw my gloves off or my stick? Because I'm like, this is crazy. So I remember throwing my stick but I kept my gloves on. And I don't even remember, when the trophy was presented, it was not even a question if you touch it, kiss it, if it's a drink out of it. We did all of the, but the one cool thing
Right.
it was kind of a crazy thing to experience. So in that game, period 2 or 3, remember DJ King? He high sticked me and he split me open. I still have my scar to this day. And so he cut me. And so Ham,
Yeah.
our sports guy, he just put some stuff in it that blocked it out. But I had to go into that dressing room after to get stitched up. So I remember the docs is coming to. So I go into the Kelowna Rockets dressing room after a game 7 win. And in the dressing room, in the trainer's room, is like Shea Weber and Josh Georges. And I remember you could hear a pin drop.
No.
There wasn't everyone was just staring in disbelief. And I remember the doctor says, "Get out of here. We're stitching this guy up." And I'm just lying there for 5-10 minutes. And there's not a word said in that dressing room while I got stitched up. And then I got to go back to the dressing room where we're all like screaming and cheering. So it was like one of those weird to be on the other side of the coin and feel like that pain they just went through, and then to experience the joy that we had.
Mm-hmm. That is incredible. I totally, yeah. You're the only one that can tell that story because you're the only one in that situation. So, gosh, yeah, unless I would talk to a Shea Weber or a Georges or a Mosienko, we would never know the other side of how that went in. But you were there and saw it. I mean, did you get any like evil looks or anyone? Or they didn't even
I
bother
just
even
remember those
looking
two
at
guys in that, like, because I was lying on a table, and I just remember after they kicked them out, I could just hear the dress room. They were just around the corner, and it was just a weird experience. But then to come out and then to have like all Everett, all the Silvertips fans and my family, my mom and dad, grandpa and grandma were there for game 7 because they were kind of went back and forth from Kelowna to Everett watching the games. And so it was just, like, I still think, I remember thinking like someone said like, they're going to make a movie out of us one day, maybe. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is wild. Like, you could be true.
I think we should mark it down. Let's get it down. Someone must know somebody in Hollywood to get this thing going. We'll yeah, definitely. But who would play you? Who would you like playing you in your role? Who would play you in your
Never
role?
thought about it. I would maybe Ryan Gosling, a good Canadian boy.
That's all right. That's good. After the season ended, then you went to, it was more a status quo. Like maybe like Hamill was playing his first full year. And then that first season, it was a little bit of a grind here and there. But still a successful year. I think I really liked, I think the highlight of that season was beating the Portland Winterhawks in 7 games, especially not having home ice that series. I know it would have been a little bit of an adjustment year. It was tough to kind of match what the team did in the first season. Talk about the second season with Everett, especially against Portland, because it was an adjustment. Guys were hurt. I remember Mitch Love was out for a little bit of that first series against the Portland Winterhawks, but Alex Levitt was in. I know there was a big trade made. I believe it was Horman and Delage for Levitt when he came over from Swift Current. But talk about the second season. How different was it for you? And but I think for you, your role anyway was pretty much the same status quo, correct?
My role really didn't change. The team wise, like we had 5 20-year-olds that first year, right? We had Chad Basson, we had Harvey, we had Dahl, we had Brian Nathie and Devin Wilson. So a lot of those guys, like, they put up huge minutes, a lot of points in that first season. So we lost them all. So then I think it came down to our new 20-year-olds who we had Lover, one of, if not the best captain that Silvertips ever had. And Dietrich and Horman or Levitt, I guess. Levitt would took over for him. Is that right? And so we a little more low on fewer guys. And I think it was some big shoes to fill. And like, I know, and I did feel like we could have beat Kubi because I think we lost to Kubi in that second round. And we kind of let it slip out of our grasp, where once we kind of lost 2 in a row, then we kind of got on our heels and we're like, this is going to be tough to come back. But we definitely had a tough series against Portland, and we played them so many times and they had so many big names that, we were happy to get that at least first round win.
Yeah. And then third season came, and then this is like post lockout. So things totally changed. I think the team totally changed to a little bit of a new direction. To the skill level just went up, rose up a couple amps higher, basically, in the 05-06 season. So now Zach Hamill is like almost, you would say, Western Hockey League prime of your career. Peter Mueller shows up. Andre Fiala is there. Carl Romas. Tori Wheat is now a 20-year-old. You're a 20-year-old. John Lammers comes in for Lethbridge. I mean, this team, I still think, I go back and forth all the time between the 05-06 team to the 06-07 team, on that squad. Boy, but that 05-06 team, especially post-lockout, shootouts, wide open ice, you had everything, pretty much it was wide open. That must have been, I get it. Maybe a little tough on your end to a certain extent because you were probably the same role a little bit here and there as the kind of the younger guys, the higher scoring level guys were there. But talk about your role in the 05-06 team. I think you're more of definitely a leadership role because you're the experienced guy along with Cody Thoring. I believe Sean Heshka was there as well. Talk about that season because that was a fun year because there were a lot of goals were scored that season.
Like, we went from like this defensive team that only put it up a couple goals a game to being like, yeah, we're putting up 4, 5, 6 goals a game, and like to get Peter Mueller, that was a huge deal where he came out. Then like we also had Leland Irving as our goalie coming in his own form. He was young, but he was really coming into it. Mm-hmm. And so our team, and we had some young players like Daley Harper who you had on, and then Kyle Beach, even though he was 15. Kyle Beach, good name in Everett's history.
Yes.
And he came with us in playoffs. He played every playoff game, I think. So, yeah, we did have, I know, it's one of those things. Again, we ran into the Vancouver Giants who had a stacked team and was tough. Like, they were tough. And we didn't have Love No More, right? We didn't have our tough, like, one of the tough guys in the WHL, actually, that could fight anybody. And so we ran up into some big bodies, and they played some mean, tough hockey. And I know it was, we had Kelowna. That was a good series in that second round. And the first series, I think, was Tri-Cities. And Tri-Cities,
correct.
They were tough too. They had like Logan Stevenson. And they had a couple big defensemen that really were mean. And so I think we were pretty beat down by the time we got to the Giants. But yeah, it was a great squad. When you name all those names, it's kind of crazy. They're all there in the 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, and then season ended, lost in 4 to the Giants, like we mentioned. And looking up, Hockey DB, I swore I thought you played university, but after the Everett Silvertips in 05-06, it was it. You just hung it up. It was done. I mean, talk about your thought process after that 05-06 season.
So I had some offers. Like I had wanted to go to UBC with my brother and play there. And you know what? I wanted to be a firefighter. And so I had to go to Vermilion, Alberta, or to Brandon, Manitoba at that time. And so I really didn't have anything with university that I could have played hockey and continue with school. And I was pretty burnt out, like playing it since when you're 4 or 5 years old and playing it a ton. And I was ready just to kind of hang up the skates. And so I didn't totally hang them up, but I played just because I needed like some gas money and some drink money. So I played in the senior league for 1 or 2 seasons. And then I actually hung them off for a couple of years until my high school buddies was like, you should put in like an adult save team. So that's like kind of like a beer league team. And so then my high school buddies, like 2010 or 2011, we put in a hockey team called the Hammerheads. And that was the next time I had to put the skates back on it. It was a long kind of stint where I had them off, and it was like a chapter in my life.
Yeah. So tell the fans what are you doing now? Talk about family, everything. What's Smart Kress up to nowadays?
It's been a crazy 7 years. So I was a firefighter for 12 years, and then I had a couple back surgeries, hip surgery. Surgeon said you can't go back to that profession, pick a new one. So that would have happened in 2020. And so I went back to school. And so I went back to university here at Regina, and I'm now a high school teacher. I'm teaching at a high school in the north side of the city here in Regina. And, but like before we did that, I took off. Me and my family took off. We just got home about 2 months ago. We took off for the year, and we just traveled. We traveled with my 2 kids. I have a boy, 11, Kinnan, and a daughter who's 14, and my wife, Brittany. And we just traveled the globe and saw things. And I kind of said, if this is the best, because, like after back surgeries and hip surgeries, you can have some chronic pain that kind of stays with you. And so I'm like, if this is the best of God, I don't think my golden years are going to be ones where I'm going to be traveling a lot. So we did it now. And so it's been a crazy couple of years, but I'm so happy for everything, how it played out. I love this new profession that I'm in, and I get to watch my son play hockey. I don't coach because it's kind of hard for me to be on skates still, just because of my back. But I manage the team usually. And so we actually just came from hockey about an hour ago. So he's back in it. And my daughter is heavy into dance. She's a big dancer. So we're either in the dance studio or we're at the hockey rink.
Yeah. Well, talk about your the Kress family vacation. So where did you end up at? Like, how many did you go to different countries? Did you just kind of go to Canada, United States? Where did you end up at? Or a couple of places
that
you ended up?
That we wanted to see. So my son wanted to go to where Lego was made. So we went to Denmark. My daughter wanted to eat scones in France. So we went to Paris. And my wife was big into like Swiss culture. And I want to go to, I can't remember the one to New Zealand was kind of my big one. So we did we had a whole bunch. We had 24 countries in that 1 year. So we kind of bounced around from country, and lots of times we went to more than one city in one country, but our home base was actually New Zealand. We were there for about 5.5 months, and that's kind of primarily where we homeschooled our kids. But if you can believe it, my son got to play in New Zealand hockey. So on the North Island, there's 3 hockey rinks in the entire North Island, 2 in Auckland and 1 where we were staying in Wellington. And it was about 45 minutes from our house. It was like maybe a half size of a normal rink. And so every Tuesday, it was just that you showed up, they would give you gear out of the shed and you'd play. And he actually made some good friends there. And there's hockey in every corner of this planet. So it was crazy. Some days it was 28 degrees outside, and we're going to this hockey rink in the middle of New Zealand.
Oh, it must be great. I think if they picked teams, they had to pick them first. Let's get Canadian. That Canadian has to be picked. You got to get the Canadian kid.
It's really funny. He was the guy that ran the program. He was actually from Calgary, Alberta. And so it was like kind of guys that traveled, and then they ended up just staying based in New Zealand. But he got to play with this one kid, and he came from Boston, Massachusetts, and he actually, his son played with Brad Marchand's son. So it was so cool. Like, it was like all these people are from all over. There's another U.S. residents from Denver, Colorado. And so it wasn't just like Kiwis there, but it was like a whole bunch of people from all over the planet. And they wanted to continue to play the amazing sport of hockey.
That's amazing. Do you still follow the game? You still follow hockey here and there? Even NHL or Western Hockey League? I know you're probably going to be heavily invested in your son as well. So where he ends up and things like that too. But talk about this as far as you just watching hockey Bruins in general right now. So
I watch most Bruins games. Last year, it's been a tough last year because the Bruins had such a good run there for such a long time. So that's been kind of hard. And then the tips. I always tune in playoff time. And so that's kind of like when I check in and see how the tips are doing. I get to a few Regina Path games, which I'm hoping the tips come through this year. I don't know if they do. And especially with my son, because Connor Bedard was here before. And so he was selling out crowds like crazy. And so he was like kind of the big deal in Regina. And now we got kind of this young guy that's coming, Maddox Schultz. So I think we'll be going to lots of Pats games again, because it's kind of fun when you got this like all-star. Like, I think Everett has DuPont, who's kind of like they're all kid. And so, it's kind of fun when you have that one player that, like can do things that not very many players can do.
Yeah. I totally forgot to ask you this. I think it was the 05-06 season. I know I always we talk about how being in the community, helping the community out in whatever charity ways came about. Do you remember the 05-06 charity where we hair grew out in the off season and we had to cut it at the end of the year to donate your hair to cancer?
Like one of my bigger charity we had in my life. Like, that was like, I don't think I realized how impactful that was. Because I remember going to like children's hospitals down there and to the schools, and I don't think I realized how much that meant. And I kind of wish I would have done it more. Like, I wish I would have got in the community even more, even though like even signing autographs after games and like throwing pucks over to the fans and during warm-ups. Like, I think that was one of the things that, I'm so happy that I got like blessed in being asked to do that. I guess I was one of the few guys with long hair at that time. But I did it for COVID with my son. There's a charity in Yorkton that does the same thing. So me and my son both did it again. We shaved our heads. Yeah. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
so
That's great. Yeah, 'cause yeah. And I know that night oh gosh, we must I think the help that a local Everett Cancer Foundation, I know we raised a lot of money. I don't know what the number was, but it was definitely, I think it was over $10,000, probably even way more than that. But I just remember just thinking about that, just throwing that idea to you, and it just kind of grew as that season went on. I know we did a Pink the Rink
yeah.
night, one of those. I think it might have been one of those nights where we ended up doing it. But it was a great partnership with that charity in Everett, and yeah, that was. And actually, you got your head shaved right
Yeah.
on center ice too. So yeah, you
No,
can't
you know
forget
what?
that. You can't
The one
forget
downside
that.
is I had a broken arm, so I wasn't playing in the game. So I went out between first and intermission. I broke my
That's
arm maybe
right.
the month
Mhm.
before, and they shaved it on. And yeah, it was the first time I felt like though I lost all my strength because like my hair covered like a lot of like I got enough fight,
Mhm.
lots of like the bumps and bruises. I could cover it. Well, when you're bald, like you can see every bruise, and so I kind of felt like I was
Mhm.
Samson, so I needed to grow my hair right back out. But it was such a cool thing to do, and I really, I'd be a super proponent of like any of the current tips or future tips. Like, yeah, get out in the community. Like, you don't understand that impact you have, and
Mhm.
I think it is like so
Mhm.
meaningful for you to show up to these things. And so, yeah, thanks for putting me. Obviously, I'm like a 19-year-old kid, not thinking like past my nose on my face, and so for you guys to
Mhm.
like introduce me to that, I'm beyond grateful. So, thanks, Keith.
Mhm. No problem. Well, we have to end it here pretty soon. I always like to give the players the last word. Anything you'd like to say to the city of Everett and Everett, Washington, which is near Seattle, not
Yes,
D.C. at the
not the
time,
White House. You're not going to
but
see the White House.
but Everett,
Well, like
Washington.
literally,
Yes,
Everett
but
has such a special
yeah,
place in my heart. Like just so far that I almost saved my son, Everett. Like that's what I told my wife. Like it was potentially going to be Kinnan or Everett.
wow.
Um, but the amount of connections I made there, and still to this day, my McNeil's like Anne, Blaine, Emmett, Jen, and Jake. I'm still close with this today. They were my billets in Snohomish, Washington. I love them to death. I get to see them every few years because they're slowly getting married. So Emma's wedding was in Everett, and Jenna's wedding was in. It was they live in Phoenix now, and Jake will probably be getting married here soon enough. So like, it's one of honestly some of my favorite people on the planet are coming from Everett, Washington, and then just like the fans there, like it's really tough to put into words. Like I think other guys have said, but like one of my favorite fans of all time is Brent Neisler. And he needs a personal shout out because he was my favorite fan. And he would come into the dressing rooms and he was always pumped up for us. But we had so many amazing fans there that I still actually connect with
Mhm.
on Facebook. Um, and the billets, yeah, like that city in whole, it's something special about it that they cheer and root you no matter what, right? No matter if we were down and we were not having a winning season, they
Mhm.
showed up for you. And yeah, the organization in a whole is one of those things that I feel really privileged to be a part of because it was in such impactful years of all our lives between your 16 and 20. And the fact that, the coaches, the staff, they all treated us like, professionals. Um, yeah, it's some of the best years of my life.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks for joining me. It's great seeing you. Best of luck being a dad, being a hockey dad, and best of luck in your school year as a teacher.
I
I'm
knew
married to a
that.
teacher, so actually she's been doing. Actually, she taught at Monroe. She taught at Monroe High School when she moved out there, not too far where you lived in Snohomish, most likely. So now she teaches at a nice suburb school in right outside of Indianapolis. She's been doing it for over 18 years now. Probably going on her 22nd,
Amazing.
20 year of teaching. So wish you the best. Yeah, it's great seeing you. Keep obviously being adventurous. I love it, and wish the best to you and all the help to the Kress family. And thank you for your time in Everett, and thank you for all you gave to the fans as a
I
hockey
got you,
player as
Keith.
well.
I think everyone's lucky to have you. And so, yeah, go Tips.
All right. Good tips. All right, that's Mark Kress, number 16, the Pride of Regina, Saskatchewan, here on the Everett Silvertips Time Machine Podcast, episode number 6. Don't forget, fans, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, as also Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also, you can watch this episode on Silvertips YouTube TV. Again, big thanks to Casey Bryant, current Silvertips broadcaster, for posting these on the Silvertips YouTube channel as well. You can watch that on the podcast, is also on Silvertips YouTube TV. So thanks again to Mark Kress, my guest. My name is Keith Gerhart, saying so long, good night, and good hockey.